Welcome to the Big Play Cleveland Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Chris McNeil and Nick Padone. We've got a huge show for you, just totally action-packed. We're back in business with Myles Garrett. We'll cover that with the Browns. Got to give some love to the Cavs on another 14-game win streak. All of those games scoring above 110 points, which we've never seen another team do that since the 85-86 Celtics, which is kind of crazy. Just another milestone for Kenny Atkinson as well, being at 54-10. What else we got? Day one of
NFL free agency is here, so our quarterback watch is on. Who is going to be the 41st quarterback since 1999 for the Cleveland Browns? Obviously, Myles is back. Could they get some complementary pieces on that defense now? Maybe this Browns season's a little bit more serious than we initially thought. And former UFC Heavyweight Champion of the world, Stipe Miocic, joins us in studio as well. So quite a packed show for you guys.
We've got some exciting guard stuff, too.
And
we'll bring back Jensen.
Lewis is coming back into the fold, presented by Northeast Factory Direct. Bringin The Heat is going to be back all baseball season long. We'll be talking baseball with Jensen. Only spot to hear Jensen talk guards, by the way, now that
your exclusive home
for Jensen Lewis.
And Nick, you've got some cool news. 92.3 The Fan, you'll hear a familiar voice.
I was on there Sunday. I'm going to be on there Sunday for
Anything
a couple
happened
hours.
during the show?
And it was Myles Garrett made it a very easy first show. So kudos to Myles for starting me off on an easy note. Like, that was the easiest thing I think I'll ever do in my whole life.
Cool. Well, that's exciting. So what will the schedule be?
Yeah, I think, for now, we're just going to be Sundays 10 to 2. Me and Daryl Ryder, who obviously, if you follow the Cleveland sports universe at all, you know him. We're going to hold it down throughout the off season, and we'll see what happens after that.
All right, let's go. McNeil, any...
Should be a very interesting offseason, as they all are.
As they all are, yeah.
But this one in particular, it's nice to start off at least with free agency. You get the Myles Garrett stuff out of the way. Now we can concentrate on who the heck's going to be the quarterback for this team. Because if you're going to go anywhere in this league, you got to have a quarterback.
They say that it's important, Chris. At least that's what I've been told from teams that I've seen go to the Super Bowl. Never experienced that here for myself, but I've been told that a quarterback is typically a big important piece that you'd like to have in place.
Yeah,
it's so nice to be finally getting to that time of the year. You know, we're setting the clocks ahead, we're springing ahead, we're getting to spring training, starting to get outside a little bit. I was playing basketball with the boys out in the driveway.
Did your ego recover from getting beat up out there with
I
the
know.
kids?
My oldest, who is now a sophomore in high school, he can work me in the paint a little bit, so that hurts. So I've got to kind of muscle up a little bit if I'm going to really come with the big boys here in the next few years as my boys go through high school. But it's nice to be outside. It's nice to kind of enjoy the better weather, and hopefully that'll continue here. And as we get into the spring and start talking more about baseball, Cavs playoffs, and what's going on with the Browns.
We've got an action-packed show for you. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Stay tuned for Stipe Miocic. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. We've got our Garage Beer featured interview in studio. Two-time UFC Heavyweight Champion Stipe Miocic.
Thank you.
And we just figured out that that's the correct pronunciation.
English way. Miocic is in Croatian. Miocic.
Miocic. Beautiful.
So Bruce Buffer channels the Croatian pronunciation when he...
Yeah, he does well. He says better than I do.
That's awesome. Obviously appreciate you joining us in here. A huge shout out to the All Cleveland Coffee crew for putting this together. Yes. What's that project been like for you? I know obviously you're a legend. Joe Thomas is a legend. Teaming up for a coffee brand has got to be pretty cool.
It's great. Traveling to Colombia and all that. And look, I'm just joking, I never did that, but like they're amazing. Like they're it's an amazing company. Not so much with the coffee, because the coffee's great. It tastes great, smells great.
Yeah.
But just the whole concept of giving back. They've given over 40,000 meals. The mission's 1 million, but it takes time. But as this company gets bigger, it's going to be giving more. And these guys are awesome, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Yeah, check it out. All Cleveland Coffee. Obviously, we've had it here at Big Play. You could get the bag of it. You could get the K-Cups with it. Like, it's all really good.
Stipe, you've had such an accomplished career. We'll get to that. But what are you up to these days? I know you're a busy dad. You got 2 amazing kids. Some funny stories were already shared pre-show. And you're still helping out. You're still working over at the firehouse.
Yep. Working every third day and all that good stuff at the fire department. I love giving back that way. And I'm a content creator now. I guess you would call me that. I'm trying. Still.
How's that new DJI
Oh,
treating you?
it's fun.
New camera.
I'm terrified because my kids try to grab it from me. I'm like, no, because like I usually tell them to take everything they want, but like I'm like that's expensive. Like
Yeah.
I have no insurance on this. Like I should have did it, but I didn't. But yeah, I know it's fun, and just learning this stuff and learning how to cut and edit, and of course, the management company I work for, usually I give it to them. They're like, yeah, that's pretty good, and they're like, well, a few more things to do with it, and they just chop
Change it all.
Yeah. Totally not what I gave them, but whatever. At least I tried. So, but yeah, everything's been great. Just still busy. Like being a father and and a husband. I'm very lucky. I have 2 amazing kids. They're savages. They keep me going, and I have an amazing wife that keeps the ship afloat. And thank God for her. And just living life.
It looks like the 6-year-old might have a tennis future.
I hope so. We did tennis the first time past Saturday. She actually really, really enjoyed it. And me and my wife have a discussion that she just likes to dance, be a performer. Like she has dance class. Like she's an athlete. Like look at her. She looks like an athlete. She's got the build of an athlete. She has a competitiveness of and. She finally committed to it. I was right. I'm like, thank you. It feels good to be right in marriage because you should know you're never really right.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, but yeah, so it's been great. So she's been loving it. I've been doing it at the house now every day. Got a little racket with a smiley face on it, and just all she wanted. I'm like, hey, easy. A little quick trip to Amazon. About $20 was good.
So what do your kids know about your career? Do they know anything about what Dad did and what Dad does and everything else?
Yeah, so my son, he's 3, so he knows I fight. I guess you would say he wants to fight, which I never hope he doesn't. But my daughter, I never wanted to put her in that position, I knew eventually it was going to happen. Yeah. And it started off when she was 2 before our son was born, when I was watching TV, and there was I don't know, a UFC rerun on or something, and I'm like, I don't know why. I must have clicked it, which is weird, but I just clicked it, and I look up. Oh, she's like, Daddy. I look up, and it's just me getting pummeled. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so she kind of got the concept, and she's been to a few fights, one in Anaheim and all that, and then now she goes to school. It's a Catholic school, and all the older kids, like best buddies, and so they walk with an older kid, and the one kid she had, she's like, oh, I love your daddy. I've been such a big fan. She's like, what? And then, she's like, everyone's going to New York to watch you fight. Can I go? I'm like, oh, that's not that. And then but it's great. I mean, I remember, I lost the last fight, and she's like, Dad, I know you lost, but I just want to say, I know you tried your hardest, and I love you. And I was like, I almost cried.
Oh.
Maybe I did, but we'll just leave it at that.
It's amazing what kids can do.
Oh, it's great. She broke me in half. I'm like, what do you want? Do you want a car? Do you want, you get whatever you want. My son walks up and just punches me in the face. How dare you lose?
Is there a sense of relief that you're in this chapter of life?
Yeah, it is. I don't get much anxiety, and stuff like that, because I've done it for so long. In the beginning of fighting, I did, but just the whole, just getting. The hard part is not the fight. The fight's the easy part, because go out there and I train my butt off. But the hard part is the 10 to 12 weeks prior, just bringing new guys in, to huge guys and smashing you. You're like, this is not fun. Different guy, and then you're like, you go home, I'm almost 42. I'm like, this is terrible. I feel like absolute garbage right now. I'm like, I should be in better shape. And I was in great shape. Well, yeah, but I was in great shape. But just, man, I was your body doesn't adjust as you get older, which I found out. But I know I felt good, honestly. But it was just, it's nice to I just have to just lift weights and try to get bigger. And, that's still a process too, because, kids are like, Dad, let's go outside. Dad. I'm like, oh.
You're still training for fatherhood.
Yes, that's never going to end.
Talk about the mentality, because you're such a nice guy, very affable in here. What's it like to take that into the ring? What's the difference in the mentality between the two?
I think it's just a switch. I just I always say it's what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it's killed or be killed. I just know there's another man in front of me, and we have one of us both have a mission to win. That's it. It's just, competitiveness. It's competition, and that's what I love about it.
You had 15 knockouts in your career. Which one felt the most memorable or most satisfying?
Oh, they all do. They all do, because you win. So, no, I think 2 for sure were when I won the title in Brazil, because there was 45,000 people in there, and 44,985 were Brazilian speaking Portuguese, telling me I'm going to die. And I had 15 of my family and friends there, and then I hit him and he went out, and I was going, yeah, I'm a champion, and it was so annoying, because it was quiet. It was awkward, yeah. And then, but it was great. And then, of course, the one here in Cleveland was awesome too. You know, because I was, it's funny. I talk about anxiety. I don't get anxiety much, and that fight, walking out and everyone like screaming your name, and like it's like surreal. It's like people dream about that stuff, and I get goosebumps thinking about it now, and I'm like, oh my god, it's crazy. And I couldn't catch my breath. I was fighting, and I'm like, wow, this is not good. Like, what do I do? Like, and they popped me and dropped me, and I was like, we're good. Yeah. I'm good now. Like, reset. Let's do this. And then I got on top of it and finished him off, and I was like, thank God. Like, because it could be way worse.
Yeah, that fight here in 2016 was awesome because 2016, it was just a fun year for Cleveland in general, and you were a big piece of that, like in just winning championships in 2016. You winning in Cleveland and then being a part of the Cavs celebration was just awesome.
Oh, it was crazy, because the Indians like one game off, like that was rough, and then but they did so well, no one expected it, and then the Monsters. Won the Calder Cup, and then I think we had a guy that won like Golden Tee World Championship or something like that too. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I heard. Probably though. That'd be
we were on top of the world in 2016.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty sweet. It was crazy because I remember going to the game one of the World Series, and that's the first game of the Cavs season. They were doing the ring ceremony, so I went to both. It was just crazy because like how packed and awesome it was, right in the middle, like right in front of the was a Rocket Mortgage House now, but it was like that area in front. It was packed with like. Wiz Khalifa was his name, right? The rapper. He was there with his mom, Peaches. They were awesome. We hung out with them, and we were just having fun. And I'm like, this is great. Like, this is what Cleveland needs. Like, it's great. We're such a great city.
Yeah, obviously a big piece of the UFC is kind of like smack talk. I know you were never really one to like get into that kind of stuff. Do you have anybody that was kind of like the best at it that you kind of like maybe even got like a little bit of an internal giggle just trying to sell a fight or talking smack to you?
Yeah, I mean, they all talk smack. I mean, I don't. I'm too tired. I got stuff going on. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. I'm gonna go on Twitter like, oh hey yeah. I'm like, I don't care about that. Like, I got more stuff to worry about. But like, like everyone did, like DC. He even called me. They listen, dude, I was just trying to get pay-per-view sales. I'm like, I get it. Like, it's all good. And then like when I fought Jones last fight, he's like, we went to face-off. He's like, stop talking about my kids. And I'm like, I didn't say a word about your kid. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? And he's like, it was just weird. You know what I mean? I was like, I think he was just trying to get himself inside. It worked out for him. But it's just, I mean, the guys talked, but whatever. I don't care. Like when I started my career, I was real self-conscious and like sensitive, and people like write me emails like, "You suck." I'm like, well, "What did I do to you?" Like, what, like I'm a human being, and like I walk out to a fight, guys like, "You suck." I'm like, why? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, but then I stopped caring. I'm like, that's what it is.
It's all part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. I was young and naive.
That's awesome. Another thing I wanted to definitely talk about is Cleveland State Wrestling. A hot buttony thing right now. I want to start about your, journey. What does Cleveland State Wrestling mean to you? And then we could get into some of the stuff that's currently happening now with them.
I mean, I love Cleveland State Wrestling. I mean, even though I'm from here too, but I stayed downtown. I stayed at the dorms. Back then it was a Viking Hall. It was a sketchy dorm. It was awesome. But it was honestly, it was awesome. It was a best experience I had. Like, it really, opened my eyes a lot of things, and just and those guys are on the team I'm still friends with. Like, I don't hang out with them all the time, but like we'll text here and there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's like it's just that brotherhood, and it's just a great sport too. Like, no one understands like how great of a sport it is. It brings people together, and it's like fighting almost. It brings everyone together, and it just I don't know. So it just sucks because like, how is it that it's not their fault that the school didn't want to manage their money and took away money from them they shouldn't have.
Yeah, and it seems like it's purely a money thing at this point.
Well, they used to have 9 scholarships. They dropped down to 2, and then they cut. I'm like, wow, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, like, and like they're doing decent with the kids they have, which is amazing. Thinking about that 7 more scholarships is a totally different ballgame.
Yeah. Is there anything at this point that like fans could even do to get involved, or is the university?
Well, now I think it's political and more courts.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot more like. I guess years ago when they dropped it, 2013, I think they tried to drop it, and the school president did awesome. He was like, "Hey, we're going to add like $1 or $2, whatever, to every credit hour, or whatever." I don't know how much it was, but that was going to pay for the other sports, and it was going great. But then all of a sudden the money stopped coming, and like it started going somewhere else. I'm like, okay, well you can't do that. Like, one thing about the wrestling team is that they don't use a lot of money,
right?
And I don't think they've ever been in the red. Like, they weren't in the red this year, weren't in the red last year. So it's like, why are you going to cut a program that doesn't make you lose money? Like. I don't get it.
For sure. All right, we got to step aside. When we come back, more Cleveland sports talk with Stipe Miocic. Don't go anywhere. Big Play Cleveland right after this.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. We're continuing our Garage Beer featured interview with two-time UFC Heavyweight Champion. We've got Stipe Miocic in studio with us. We're talking all things, all Cleveland coffee. You know, you're a partner of this coffee company. You can tell us a little bit more about this too. I mean, you were talking up the K-Cups too.
Yeah, I mean, K-Cups are amazing because like when they're plastic free and they're sealed, nitrously sealed. I can't talk right now. Nitrous sealed. What makes it you keep them more fresh, you know, it doesn't get stale. Because like, you know, sometimes coffee, like, not good. It's like dried, so it keeps it fresh. But like, you know, everything just always. There are no O'Malley's, which is a good thing. You know, and they're flying off the shelves, which, you know, I would expect because, you know, it's good coffee.
Yeah,
it's a cool endeavor for you, and I think people. I mean, Cleveland. I don't know. I'm a coffee connoisseur. People love coffee, and when it says all Cleveland coffee, I feel like you're all Cleveland. That's how we've associated you and all of your career accomplishments. How about speaking of Cleveland, being at the Browns and smashing the guitar? What was that experience like for you?
One, it was awesome because I got to bring my kids, and like you know, and it's awesome. But at the same time, I'm like, gosh, like they're getting pampered because like I went to an Indians game, they were on the field, had their own jerseys. You know, Browns game, got to go on the field. Got loge, and I'm like, man, you see up there those nosebleeds where Dad used to sit, like, you know. But
I go through the same thing.
Yeah.
With my
oh
kids.
my God, it's so hard.
Like, Dad, well, what's the buffet going to be like for this game? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, like, Dad, can I have apple juice? No. You know what? I want ice cream. I'm like, no, you just can't pick it. It's right around the corner. Just get what you want. Like, you mean you try to fight it, but no. It was great going there, you know, because like, you know, my kids went, and my mother-in-law went, so she was all like, oh yeah, you know, she loves it, you know, and it was great because it was just awesome, you know, just the electricity, and then I guess I broke or bent a bar.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, no big deal. It's strong. Whatever. No, but it was cool because I guess the one time, who was it? Flavor Flav. They gave him a real guitar.
Yeah.
Mine was like, you know, there was a fake one. That's why it just exploded. I guess they gave him a real one or something. I'm like, oh.
So he had major problems.
I heard.
I was at that game.
Yeah.
That was not pretty. Not a way you want to start a ball game.
We've had a couple close calls with that because like Boobie Gibson, who hosts the show here, like swung it so hard on the first swing that he like flew off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're like for you know, insurance purposes, make sure you wear goggles. I'm like, yeah, for sure. And I didn't put them on. I'm like, oh, knowing me, my luck, it would have someone, right, you know, that would have been my luck.
Did they give you any other instruction, or just go up there, smash it, Steve?
Yeah, no, they said, you know, we'll tell you when to walk out. Yeah. Then watch the guy. He'll look 1, 2, and you walk up, grab it, tell him, you know, they suck, and then you know, 1, 2, 3, and hit it, and that was it. That's it. Yeah, it's pretty simple actually. It was really, they were great down there, you know, and then you know, I saw Swagger's grandkids down there. Now my daughter wants to pull my ass up, which I'm okay with. You know,
nice.
Yeah, that is a cool dog.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're good. They're good dogs. You know, my kids, no, like, well, watch it, and then my son's like trying to bear hug it. I'm like, no.
And then obviously, big Browns news literally just happened. You know, over the weekend, Myles Garrett staying, which is awesome for Cleveland fans everywhere.
Yeah, I'm so happy he's staying. Like, you know, I think they're the right idea. They think that, you know, they'll be fine. You know, I mean, just last year sucked. There was some growing pains because like everyone got hurt. You know, it just seems like it's always us, but when we're not, you know, we'll be fine. But we'll see. You know, like I say, it's always next year.
Yeah.
Any guesses on who the Browns are going to take at number 2 in the draft?
Well, I heard that, you know, they're looking at Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I heard he looks good. You know what I mean? He's done well, I think. But they need a veteran quarterback. You know, I think. We looking to get Flacco still or no?
That's what
Nick's
want.
pushing for right now.
I would love that. You know, and then was it Cousins too?
Kirk Cousins out there, yeah.
I saw that. So he's a good veteran just to like mold him a little bit better. And you know, I guess I don't you know, I played football, but I don't know like the whole ins and outs and but like, you know, they have a better idea than I do.
And then if the Cavs win it all, we need to get you another parade invite, some way, shape, or form. Oh my God, that would
be amazing. Oh, they're playing so good. It's just amazing. You know, went to the last game in December and just watching them play, it was different. You know, constantly constantly like pass the ball and, you know, rushing the ball. Like, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is crazy. Like how good they are. Like really good. Like, and they've always been good, but like, you can just tell they're different. Like,
and then the addition of DeAndre Hunter.
Oh yeah, man. I was so happy. I was like, I don't know much about basketball. I wrestled. Yeah. But like, I do, gamble on basketball once in a while. I can handle. But yes, a little bit. Not much. I get in trouble if I do too much, but I've actually, bet on him a few times, and he's always came through. So.
Yeah, the Cavs have been a
I don't think they've lost with him yet.
Popular team to bet.
Yeah.
They haven't lost with
12,
him.
14-0.
Yeah.
So crazy.
You could win a lot of money. But honestly, my favorite thing to do is like wait till the Cavs start losing, then live bet the Cavs that they're going to come back and win because you get more money when you do that. And they've been finding a way to do that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that because if I did that, they would. I'm saying.
Yeah, you jinx us. Don't jinx us.
Like Stipe Miocic game for sure.
We'll keep you out of that one.
For sure. Huge thanks to a Cleveland legend, Stipe Miocic, popping in here in studio with us. Go check out his coffee brand, all CLE, all Cleveland coffee. It's some really good stuff. We've blown through a couple bags in here and a whole lot of K-Cups. We got a Keurig in our office down there. We've blown through our fair share of it. Stipe, huge thanks for popping in here.
Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
For sure. Stay tuned. More Big Play Cleveland right after this.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It's time for our Cleveland sports headlines brought to you by Fairway Ford.
Cleveland headlines brought to you by Fairway Ford. As those temperatures go up, I'm sure you're thinking about getting that yard work done. Think about doing it in a new truck from Fairway Ford. Fairway Ford is the biggest Ford truck dealership in Ohio. They have the largest selection of Ford F-150s and Super Duty trucks, and they won't be beat on price by any other Ford dealers. Don't let a short drive to Canfield prevent you from saving literally thousands on your new truck. Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, lowest pricing, and the same hometown level of service. Visit Fairway Ford. Visit fairwayfordohio.com. fairwayfordohio.com.
Okay, guys, we got to kick this segment off with the biggest news that broke over the weekend with Myles Garrett, the extension there, 4 years. That tracks out to $40 million a year. It's 160, 123 of that guaranteed. Do you think this was all about the money, or do you think there was more behind the scenes?
I think originally it wasn't about the money. I think he was frustrated. I think he was frustrated by the direction of the organization and everything that he had seen. And he's finally getting to that point in his career, and we've talked about it on this show, where, he's been Defensive Player of the Year. He's been a Pro Bowler. He's been an All-Pro. He's done everything on the individual level that he can really do, and he wants to see what he can do on the field in terms of a team. So he's looking for Super Bowls. He's looking for playoff appearances. But ultimately, I think he realized that he was not in the position where he could really force his way out and make it amicable, because he has established himself, as a beloved member of the Browns and of the community here in Cleveland, being a Cavs owner, being the guy that he is on the field for the Browns. So I think ultimately he found himself in a corner and said, okay, ultimately if I can't get any of these things, at least I can get paid a little bit more, Nick, and that's what ultimately Myles Garrett did.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think the funniest piece of this is now there's a no-trade clause, so there's no chance that this ever happens again. I don't know that there was a change of heart. I think it was just reality kind of hit, that this is not the NBA. Myles didn't have as many options as maybe he once thought. When he did the Radio Row thing, he tried to play every single card that he could to get out of Cleveland and away from the Browns, and maybe that's ultimately still what he wants, but a nice $40 million a year, I'm sure, will help soothe some things over for Myles. And I think for Browns fans, it'll be nice to have him back in a Browns uniform as we try to make this a quick reload and less than a full strip down rebuild. Having Myles Garrett in uniform will sure help that cause for sure.
People might think like, all right, now what do the fans do with how he the comments he made with Radio Row and all of that, and how can you take that back? And also just the clear distinction he made that he didn't want to go from Cleveland to Canton, and even doubling down on that last week. Do you think there will be some kind of awkwardness moving forward, or do you think just winning ball games, everybody can put this behind, and hey, he's still our lovable guy here in Cleveland who also has a big part in the Cavs ownership?
The Browns talk about it all the time. Winning raises all ships here, and that's going to be the case with Myles. I think there are going to be some people who are turned off by the fact he went on Radio Row and said that the Browns weren't going to be competitive and ripped on the organization for a full week. But ultimately, if this team starts winning, Nick, no one's going to care. And I'll even posit this. If the team, the Cavs, end up celebrating a championship, his team that he's the owner of, come June, if he's out there on Mall B, holding a trophy out there, I think a lot of people will have forgotten about this pretty quickly.
Yeah, like many things, I think this could be forgotten and forgiven quickly, especially just because Myles is such a great player. I think, for some fans, he might have a little bit of explaining to do, but for the most part, I think we understand that this was a business move. In terms of the locker room, I mean, the guys all understand, 1 through 53, that this is a business first. Myles did what he had to do to get paid, and that's really what this whole thing, it appears to be about, even though it initially wasn't the onset of maybe what upset Myles. It was certainly part of the resolution, and I think guys in the locker room will understand that. I don't think it'll be too awkward for too long. He's eventually going to have to answer some questions about it. I know that for sure, and that might be a little bit weird, but once we get past that, I think the Browns and Myles will be just all right.
Those questions are a lot easier than, are you playing on Sunday? Are you going to continue with this holdout? Those questions would really stink. These questions are a lot easier. My question right now is, what was promised to Myles Garrett? Was there anything promised? I don't know that there was, since ultimately it ended up being a money arrangement here. But a lot of people are saying
that can be enough.
And that can be enough. And hey, making me the most highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL, we're good, right? And I'm sure that's probably a big part of this. But at the end of the day, he did say he wanted to be more competitive on the field. That means getting a quarterback. Did the Browns tell him what their intentions are going to be in the offseason with free agency? Did the Browns tell him who they're going to draft? I don't know, or what their intentions might look like. I don't know what that's going to look like here, but that's certainly something that comes to mind, that hopefully that means they've got a short-term plan here to be competitive, because I'm not necessarily buying it, but at least it's enough to get Myles Garrett back on the team.
And the thing, too, with that is, regardless of what happened or happens now with Myles, the Browns still do need a quarterback. So got to figure that out at some point.
Do you guys have any kind of leftover PTSD? This is now Myles being the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. The last time this organization did some kind of record deal with somebody, we saw the materialization of that was not in our favor. Is there any of that in your mind, or is this just my intrusive thoughts?
How do we keep doing this? What I don't understand is the Moneyball principles are buy low, sell high, arbitrage, right? That's what Paul DePodesta did, with Oakland. That's what he is kind of fancied as being, is this analytics guy who's able to find out where the markets or the individual players are inefficient. He's able to exploit that. Why do we keep paying top dollar, it seems? And I understand the NFL is completely different, but I haven't really seen where we're employing those Moneyball tactics on our own team. We're not drafting well, and that's where you'd really exploit it. You're not developing this young talent from what I've seen. And the guys that you've brought in, you got Deshaun Watson, where he paid very high for and ended up being a horrible deal for us. And then Myles Garrett, we keep him around, but ultimately we're paying for what we're getting in Myles Garrett, if not overpaying a little bit when you look at the market.
Yeah, I think they just maybe realize that the cap is only going to keep going up and up and up with all this new TV money, and now Netflix gets games and Amazon's got their games. The money's going to keep going up and up and up. Just keep spending more than everybody else. It's the luxury of having a billionaire owner that's willing to pay big time money to compete and to get these big names in Cleveland. Maybe they're going to keep doing it. Maybe Myles is just the latest example, and they've got some more swings up their sleeves the next time they're allowed.
Let's switch gears to the Cavs. The Cavs are hot right now, guys. This we know. 14 straight. We haven't lost a game with DeAndre Hunter. That's 12 in a row with this guy who has just fit in so perfectly with the Cavs. 54-10. That's a little benchmark franchise record for Kenny Atkinson, the first coach to reach as many wins in his first year with the Cavs. And just the excitement all around since the All-Star break. I mean, we've just been crushing it. There really wasn't a slump.
No.
What do you guys think?
We slowed down a little against Portland, but still pulled that one out, a little bit against Charlotte. But, you had games like the Bucks there, which really wasn't much of a game. Here's a marquee game on ESPN on Sunday.
Yeah,
and
blowing out
the
the
Cavs
Bucks,
just from wire to wire looked pretty darn good. it's almost becoming too easy for these guys. I'm anxious for us to get to the playoffs where you're going to see some real strife, where this team's really got to come together. But I'm enjoying the journey right now.
Do you think this is sustainable for the playoffs? That's the big question.
Well, it is if you stay healthy. And that's what you got to do as a team. You got to make sure that this core stays healthy. And that's why I don't mind when they're going deep to the bench right now. When you come to the playoffs, you're going to tighten that up, right? 7, 9 guys, rather than playing just about everybody. Heck, Tristan Thompson got in there against Milwaukee. You're not going to see that, obviously, in the playoffs. So I like that because I think it keeps the top-end guys healthy. And then you see in the starters, you look at the minutes played, you look at the points, you look at the production, very consistent across. Everybody is doing their part on this team, and I think that's been a winning formula, especially for a long regular season.
And to maintain this level of success come postseason time, you need the same contribution out of the bench that you're getting now. And I think it's good that Kenny Atkinson trusts these guys so much because you need this same version of Ty Jerome that you're getting now in the playoffs. You need this same version of DeAndre Hunter that you've gotten from Jump Street ever since that trade come time for the NBA playoffs, because these are the type of guys you're going to need to lean on to score some big-time buckets in big-time moments when Donovan needs a rest. How many times in Cavs seasons past have we seen the important role players that brought us all throughout the year disappear come playoff time? Can't have that happen this season. We need the role players to stay as hot and as consistent as they've been. That is what's going to fuel a deep playoff run for these Cavs.
And you know what? Speaking of the role players, it was 17 points. Max Strus last night became the 9th different Cav to lead the team in scoring in a game this season. He had 17 points. But to your point, Nick, about keeping the bench players, those role players, hot or just consistent. That's all. I know we talked about consistency. We just need them to show up and offer that relief and contribute.
Yeah, when other guys are down, you got Sam Merrill stepping up a little bit last night. He's been kind of up and down. So you look for players like that. Ty Jerome's been there pretty much the whole time. You look at him as the Donovan Mitchell off the bench, more or less. For
Javonte Green getting minutes.
Yeah, there you go. So all good stuff for the Cavs right now. I was at the game last week when they played Miami. You had Kevin Love back in town. That was the game where the Cavs ended up clinching. But it was really cool, too, with an organization like the Cavs, for how they put it all together. They had a nice tribute on the video screen for Kevin Love there. Just kind of bringing back those memories of 2016 of the championship, getting the crowd pumped for ultimately what was a night where the Cavs clinched the playoffs for this year. So a lot of fun stuff, a lot of high vibes right now for the Cavs.
And hopefully more high vibes to come. Thanks again to our friends at Fairway Ford. Head down to their dealership or visit them at fairwayfordohio.com. You'll be glad you did. We'll take a break and be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. We're getting ready for another featured interview. We're going to talk some Guardians with Jensen Lewis. This is all brought to you by our friends at Northeast Factory Direct.
Bringin The Heat is back. Baseball season is about to be back. Spring is almost here. Northeast Factory Direct is going to be the title sponsor of this segment all baseball season long. So you got to check them out. Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, North Canton, truly a unique furniture buying experience. When you're shopping in store, make sure to ask for that extra special Big Play bonus. When you go to Northeast Factory Direct this spring and ask for the Big Play bonus, they're going to give you an extra special hookup. So if you've got some projects that you want to get conquered this spring, go to Northeast Factory Direct now. Do it before the summer. Do it before the guards start so you could enjoy all of your new furniture all baseball season long. Jensen Lewis joining us. Welcome on back into the Big Play Cleveland Show, Jensen.
Good to see you guys. Happy New Year, I guess. We're getting started here in just a week's time, at least for the Tokyo series. But great to be back, and very intriguing division we're going to have this year, guys. It was a 3-14 race last year. Could see it happening all over again here in 2025.
What are you seeing out of spring training that you like so far? We just saw, as of shooting this show, a 1-0 win over the White Sox. Gavin Williams looking really good. 3 2/3 innings, 7 strikeouts. Logan Allen finished in relief really well. What are you liking about these guys?
You hit them, Gab. Those are the two guys. And really, I think Gavin Williams, the headliner of camp thus far, just with the numbers. And as he was coming up through the minor leagues and into his first handful of appearances in the big leagues, I think we saw the potential for that front of the rotation type stuff. And now I don't try and read too much into spring training box scores, but I will read more into swing and miss capability and piling up strikeouts, regardless if they're minor league guys, major league guys. When you're generating the type of swing and miss that he is right now, that's going to turn some heads, and to see him do it in 10 and 8 innings and have 16 strikeouts already with only 2 walks. I mean, that tells me a couple of great things. Number one, the command is phenomenal thus far. Number two, he's got life on the fastball, and probably more importantly, guys, as you look towards the top of this Cleveland Guardian rotation, Tanner Bybee's been looking for, a Robin to him being Batman, and whether that is the analogy or not, that's a great 1-2 punch if you can get him going. And Gabby brought up Logan Allen. I think he's been maybe one of the surprises after how last year went for him. It was an inconsistent year, dealing with injuries, dealing with some tough results at the big league level. But to see him bounce back, and already, I think 10 2/3 is the number, to have 10 strikeouts, only 2 walks for him. Those are the 2 headliners as far as starters in the positive ways for me.
Yeah, it sounds like he did some work over the offseason. He was talking about that fastball and a little bit of the change in delivery just from a movement standpoint. What are some other things you think he or any of the other guys should really have in their arsenal?
Honestly, Gab, I think at this point in camp, you're starting to get towards, those first weeks of cut downs. You're starting to get more of the major league position players playing longer into games. So as far as those pitchers are concerned, especially when you're getting to the second time of the order that you'll be facing in your appearances, I think that's kind of where you start to have some separation, and you'll understand what your off-season adjustments have done. Are they working even more so than you anticipated? Are there further tweaks that you need in the final weeks of camp leading into the beginning of the regular season? But so far, so good for those guys. On the flip side, you look for, is alluding to the rotation, you're hoping Luis Ortiz can get some things right. Tristan McKenzie has had a real tough start to spring yet again. But I think that's kind of where you look now, is these next 7 to 10 days. Those are real separating times for guys that are either trying to make the team or on the team and really amping up towards the start of the season.
Speaking of pitchers here, Jensen, last week the Guardians made a little bit of news by signing Tyler Naquin as a pitcher. What's going on there? What were your thoughts initially when you heard that?
Yeah, this harkened me back, Chris, to my days in the Cape Cod League, where we had some position players that were trying their hand at pitching. I'm like, listen, it's hard enough to do what we do. Please don't try and take any more jobs from us. Sorry, we're trying to, we're trying to set ourselves apart here. But I think you love the spirit of Nake and trying to continue to evolve as a ball player. And we'll see what happens. I think for him, it's just going to be more of the shock of the up and down and what it really takes to keep your arm in shape. I know there's some position players that before batting practice would get out there on the mound and, they may ramp it up there to about 85, 90% for 3 or 4 throws. And then they come back into the clubhouse the next day and you're like, damn, I didn't know that was a part of the arm that was going to hurt. So I think there's some things that he'll have illuminated to him as he moves forward, but really excited to see him back with the organization. As you guys know, just one of the beloved players, not only as a guy on the field, but off the field as well.
I was shocked to see he's touching 97. Is that true?
We're going to find out if it translates. I sent you, or I think I posted on X the Ricky Vaughn meme when he's in the backfields and, he hits the crash test dummy, if you will, and just crushes the head of it off. Yeah. We'll see where the command is. The arm strength, there's never been a doubt about that, guys. We've seen him make some plays in the outfield back in his Indians days where you're like, okay, you always knew it. It reminded me of Lonnie Chisenhall, right? Always had the arm strength from third base. Sometimes the accuracy and the footwork just wasn't there. But when you think of Nake, it really is one of those projects that, of course, he's not going to make the team out of camp here, but one of those guys that maybe you put a pin in his progress and sort of follow him as we get into the summer.
Jensen, I know we like to do a little bit of betting on this show as your new full-time role as well, mornings on the Visa Network. Guardians win total 82.5. I feel like talking baseball with anybody this time of year, the one question that I continue to get is how many wins they're going to have this year. 82.5 is that number. What are you thinking, Jensen?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it's down from where we were last year and as far as where the Guardians finished. But Nick, a rule of thumb I always have for anyone that's looking at those markets is you got to wait until you get to that last week of camp when you have a pretty good idea of what that opening day 26-man roster looks like. Case in point, you look at where the Garrett Cole injury news comes out, and I think they were upwards of 91.5, 92.5 wins. They're all already down to 89.5, 88.5. So imagine, you lose your ace. It's a difference of 3, maybe 4 wins. So you may not get the better of the number there. As that number stands, at least on face value, I'm not surprised by it. I would lean a little bit more towards maybe an over, but not by much. I think this is going to be a hotly contested division. I think there is some regression in this bullpen. It was just in the stratosphere, guys, of efficiency last year and how dominant they were. We just know year over year that is so hard to duplicate. Not saying they can't be an elite unit again. I certainly believe they have the talent to do that. But with the injuries they had to deal with in starting rotation, couple that with maybe some guys coming back to earth a little bit, and they're going to have to answer some questions at the bottom of this lineup, guys. The run production is going to be at a premium. So with the improvements that Detroit and Kansas City and Minnesota have headed into this year, it feels like that first team to 85 wins this division.
We're excited, Jensen, and we're just excited to have you back. We'll be hearing from you and your insights all season long on Bringin the Heat with Jensen Lewis. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jensen.
it. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. Let's do a little fill in the blank, shall we? On a scale of 1 to 10, my concern level for the Guardians rotation is at...
I'm not even hardly thinking about it right
Me
now. We're
neither.
still in spring training. We just got done talking about the Cavs. We got the Browns in off season. Right now, that's something that's going to form through spring training, through the first part of this season, and I expect that to melt down the street or down the way as we come into the season. So it's not something I'm worried about too much right now, Nick.
Not at all. Not at all. I was spring baseball, figure some stuff out. That's where these guys are trying new pitches. They're trying to find new stuff. Guards are going to be just all right. We got the Cavs. We got NFL free agency and offseason. Our guards are going to be okay.
The only thing I am kind of worried about, Tristan McKenzie, and it's just 2 starts, but 13.5 ERA in 2 starts. And I'm just so pulling for this guy in this organization and what he brings from a personality standpoint. And I want him to get back on the horse. So that's one thing I've kind of kept my eyes on with spring training and hoping for him to blossom here for us.
The good news with him is it seems like the velocity is there. Now maybe get that movement in there, get the pitch mix in there so that he can start striking out guys and be a viable option for us in that rotation.
Yeah, some of these other ERAs, they're looking really good. Obviously, it's just spring training, but I'm excited for the season to get underway, guys. It's just like with the weather breaking and everything, there's nothing like baseball. We're going to shift gears here a little bit to the NFL. The Steelers trading for DK Metcalf is...
part of the quest to get Mike Tomlin over 500 next season again. I don't know who's going to be throwing to him, and I don't think the Steelers do right now, but hey, that's a nice piece and really a pretty shocking piece of news yesterday from the NFL. Once again, owning the day before free agency on Sunday, coming out with this news right after the Myles Garrett news, and more to come, obviously, on that front. But it's amazing the way the NFL, even though games aren't being played right now, can still own the sports cycle.
Yeah, and it's crazy, too, that, the Steelers find ways to just make these situations work. I don't know how they were a playoff team last year, but they were. Now you trade a second-round pick, which is a late second-round pick as a playoff team for DK Metcalf, who's one of the best receivers in football. Pair him up with George Pickens. Whatever quarterback they find a way to sign, at least that guy's life is going to be a little bit easier than it would have been without DK Metcalf. I think that's a good ad for Pittsburgh, and another challenge for the Browns secondary is how do you slow that offense down?
How about him and Pickens? Can they coexist in this offense? That's going to be interesting
we'll find
to watch.
out. Yeah, that'll be a fun challenge for Tomlin too. Is just how to keep both of their heads on their shoulders.
Right. It's March, guys. So that means McNeil, you're probably preparing for a little bit of March Madness,
filling out the brackets.
With your bracket. 5 tickets have already been punched. Ohio State, the Buckeyes are 17-14.
Bubble.
OSU needs to blank to make the NCAA tournament this year.
You need a Ryan Day type of move at this point. You've got to win multiple games, nearly win the Big Ten championship in order to have any kind of a chance here. So come on, let's do it, Diebler. Let's see if you've got a little bit of a Ryan Day streak in you for basketball.
All right, Ryan, can we sneak one more in here? We're going to sneak one more in. Blank is going to win the MAC tournament this week.
Give me Kent. Come
Going
on.
with
Give
Kent?
me Miami.
Golden
Miami, the number 2 seed right now. The last time Miami was in the big dance 18 years ago, my daughter was born. 2 months later, they went to the dance. My daughter is going back to Miami in the fall. Miami is going to the tournament, going to the big dance. Book it.
Book it. All right. That's it for this week on Big Play Cleveland. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.